Please be seated. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Chag sameach. One of the wonderful things about parenting, my children have to put their hands over their ears. One of the wonderful things is seeing our children go through difficult periods, sometimes challenging, whatever area it is. And then you see them overcome them, and how wonderful that is when you see them get through that. And seeing a whole new beginning, you think, wow, why was I ever worried in the first place? Until another moment comes. It's the same for our children, it's the same for all of us as well, and everything we face in our lives. As we go through the whole journey of growing and facing life and understanding more and more about what we're doing here in this funny world of ours. So, Passover, a holiday of freedom, is in many ways about this cycle, about this journey. We all know that the beginning of Passover is about leaving Egypt, and about that night of the Exodus, when finally, after hundreds of years of slavery, the children of Israel had a moment of opportunity to leave. But then they weren't quite free. They had to cross the Red Sea, and we spent all of Pesach walking towards the Red Sea. And I'm tired too. And they were tired too, because when they arrived at the Red Sea, and they were facing the water in front of them, and thinking, how am I ever going to cross these waters? And then they, as we know from the movie and the book, they looked around, and what did they see? They saw the chariots of Egypt coming towards them full speed, and they knew Pharaoh was after. This was their worst fears, that it wasn't really freedom, that the freedom wasn't real, it wasn't a tangible freedom, it was all an illusion, and really they were going back to slavery or worse. And in that moment, this is one that we often talk about, as they came to the waters, they panicked, and Moses panicked, and cried to God, and God said, why are you crying to me? Do something, tell them to go forward. And finally the children of Israel went forward, or according to Midrash, one man went forward and the waters parted, and finally there was that great miracle, and the people walked to their next step in their journey of freedom. It's very interesting we go into the language that the Torah uses during all this description of the crossing of the Red Sea in the Torah. It's very unusual language, only appears in limited times in the Torah. For example, the word depths, which is depths of the sea, tehom, that only appears a few times in the Torah, much more in prophets, but not in the Torah. I'll speak more about that tomorrow, actually. Or the word for dry land, karavah. They walked across dry land as the waters parted. Very interesting word that means connected to desolation and destruction, but also to rebirth. That when you go through that desolation, when you walk through that space, that's where rebirth is found. But finally, what I really want to talk about is the word for splitting, the splitting of the sea, which in the plural is bakau. Many of these words actually only appear in the creation story of the world. That's the other time when there's another cosmic event where these words appear. You have those endless depths of the waters being separated in the first days of creation, split between the top and the bottom. And the other time that the word for splitting is used actually is what we read on Rosh Hashanah every year in the story of the binding of Isaac. After God commands Abraham in the most terrible and powerful and difficult and challenging of tests to sacrifice his own son, the first thing that Abraham does, he goes and he splits wood, and he goes to then bring the wood and take his son, take him onto that journey of 3 days. But just like God splits the sea, this is Abraham splitting everything he knows about life, everything that was before him. All of a person's journey, everything that's inside a person being tested to walk through those waters, this happens to all of us in our lives over and over again, the cosmic events coming together. So what's the lesson of all that? So the lesson that I see for our lives is that maybe in our lives and our loved ones' lives too, when we all face those moments of being stuck before a sea that's in front of us that hasn't yet split, that it's not just us. We think in those moments we're all alone, but really we're part of some cosmic dimension. We're part of the creation of the world. We're part of the splitting of the sea. We're part of something much greater than us. And even those small victories in our lives are actually part of something much greater and more important that connects all the other people who are also going through difficulties and who are looking for redemptions. And that's when we encounter them, they're small but equally meaningful, and in some ways equally important to those other times. It's as if the world is being recreated in that moment just for us. We're being renewed, there's a rebirth. We're building a new world for ourselves and the other people with us. And that's not unlike the creation of the universe itself. And so we're called every time we face those waters, or people we love face those waters, to remind us and to remind them that they're not alone in those moments, but they're walking as part of some much greater and more blessed cosmic unfolding that we're all part of. Shabbat Shalom.